acu-CONNECT March webinar with Chris Joko from DSD. He's going to be talking about Acumatica tips and tricks today. So I'm going to go ahead and let Chris take it from here. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Alma. Everybody can hear me okay and see my little slide okay? If I can get the thumbs up from somebody. Well, just let me give you guys a little introduction to myself. I'm Chris Joko. I am the Principal Solutions Architect for the Acumatica team at DSD Business Systems in San Diego, California. The great group here at acu-CONNECT asked me to kind of do a little webinar for you guys this Friday afternoon to some tips and tricks, some things that I've seen with some of my clients with Acumatica. So today, what I want to kind of just show you some simple things that I've done with the visual workflow engine, kind of walk you through some things that I've done with updating screens on the mobile app. And then something new that I like to use that's kind of I feel like highly underused with some of our clients is triggering business events with actions. So if you guys are ready to roll with me today, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. And then hopefully at the end, we'll have about 15 minutes. We could jump into a Q&A session and, we can, chat there some more, or, I'll provide some of my contact info if you guys ever want to reach out to me and connect. I love meeting people throughout the country and talk to people about Acumatica. So let's jump right in. All right, so the first thing I want to do really here is talk about the visual workflow engine. So when Acumatica started moving some of their screens to the workflow engine, this really unlocked things that you couldn't do with legacy systems or even older versions of Acumatica without having a lot of knowledge in being able to update code. And so the workflow engine allows us to insert what we call states and be able to kind of push a transaction through the way that we really want to push it through. So I had a customer come up to me. They don't have the CRM module. They issue a bunch of quotes. And in your standard workflow for a sales quote in Acumatica, usually it's just, hey, I opened it, I emailed it, but really the only status is open or completed. And so to me, they couldn't report on this. They couldn't do anything with this. It just made it a little bit difficult for them to track that. So what I did is, using the visual workflow engine, I was able to add what we call states or new statuses and actually let somebody be able to kind of flow this thing through. So let me go ahead and jump into my Acumatica here. And we're going to take a look at the sales order module. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and generate a brand new quote. And so if you want to see what the current workflow that is being utilized for this particular order type, as long as you have customization rights, you're able to go to the customization notch up here and go show state diagram. And so when you show this state diagram, what it's going to actually do is just kind of show you specifically what the flow of this order goes through. So we start on hold as our state. Then we open it. Then when it's accepted, it's completed. And then we just kind of only have, so we really can't report on this and say, hey, where are we at? Did we actually deliver this thing? Did it win? Did it lose? Whatever the case may be, I want to expand this. So when I start to kind of work this out in my head, what I typically will do is I'll put my own little workflow together. So what I want to go ahead and do is I want to, when this is opened, I want to email this order out or this quote out, but I want the state to show that my technician or my salesperson delivered this quote. Then I want them, when the customer says, hey, did we accept this? Yes, I want it to switch to a quote accepted, so that then I can copy that order to a sales order with the regular flow of Acumatica and then it goes into a completed status. If they don't accept it, I want to track these and I want to see quotes that are lost. I don't want them canceled. I just want them to show as quotes lost. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the visual workflow engine to build this workflow in Acumatica. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our customization packages here. So I'm going to go into Acumatica customization, and I've already predefined a customization package that we're going to use. But in your case, you'll just create a new customization package. And so mine here is called acu-CONNECT Webinar Go. And so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to open up our customization package. And again, I'm a big proponent of what we call low code, no code. So a lot of the things that I try to do is I try to do these things without any kind of code in the system. So I'm going to go into my screens. And the first thing I want to do is I want to customize my existing screen. So I'm going to click on customize existing screen, and I am going to find my sales order screen. For those of you that are not aware, I could look it up by sales orders, but it's going to search on the workspaces. It's going to search on the title. If I know what screen ID it is, sales orders is typically SO301000. So I'm going to go ahead and look for that specific screen. So sales order SO301000. So I'm going to select this here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the existing workflows. So what we want to do is we want to take the quote workflow and we want to update it, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the screen on the side here, and we're going to click on our workflows. This is going to show you all of the workflows that are currently in Acumatica. So what we want to do is we want to, because Acumatica wants to reserve their standard workflows, you can see that the existing workflows that they currently have are read-only. So what we want to do is we want to take this quote workflow and we want to copy it into our own personal workflow. So what we're going to do is we're going to just go ahead and hit our action to add workflow. And I'm going to copy the existing QT workflow, and I want to take that workflow type of quote, and we're going to call this acu-quote. And so by giving it a name, what I could do is I could work on this workflow, and then I could start to put it together, and then I can activate it. And then once I publish it, we'll walk through this thing together. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and create the new states that I wanted to put in. So if we look at this, I want quote delivered, quote accepted, and quote lost. So what we need to do is give it a identifier. So you can see here, I put a lot of thought before I just start going into this thing, because I want to make sure that when I put this together, it's, it probably will work. So I need to give it an identifier code. So in my case here, I want to first go ahead and add some states. So in this case here, I'm going to add Z, and this is going to be quote delivered. And then you can see here that these states get added down here. And then I have Y for quote accepted. So we're going to put Y for quote accepted. And then I'm going to have T for quote lost. So I'm going to go ahead and add a state here, and I'm going to say quote lost. So now I've defined the additional states which will become statuses on the sales order screen. So now once I have these things defined, now I can actually create some actions so that we can force somebody to do something. So the first thing is, when the quote is delivered, what I want to do is I need to know if they tell me it's accepted, I want to mark it as accepted. So I'm going to create an action called quote accepted. And so my display name will say accepted. Oops, accepted. Gotta learn how to spell here. And then I can put it in as an action, and then I can opt to have this added to the toolbar. So then it'll show up against the top of the screen. So number one, I've created an accepted action, and then I'm going to create an action for when the quote was lost. So I'm just going to say lost. And I'm also going to add this to the toolbar, and I'm going to excuse me, I'm going to add that to my category of actions. Now that I've created these actions, so what have I created so far? I've created the states, new states, and I've created, was it accepted or not? So basically I've predefined all of that information in there. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add my transitions. So what do I want it to do from one side to the other? So I'm going to go ahead and save. And what I'll do in this case here is I'm going to use the diagram view to kind of show me a little map here. So I could kind of move some of these things around. You know, let's take this quote accepted and move it here. So what we want to do is we want to transition somehow from open to my quote delivered, because I need to transition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the open, and I'm going to first create a transition from the open. And what I want to do is by action, I want to send this into a target state of quote delivered. So in my trigger name here, I'm going to look for the existing action of email order or email quote in this case. So when the email quote button is pushed in Acumatica sales order screen, I want that to convert the state to my new state of quote delivered. When I put this together, this transition, you'll see the line draw from the open email quote to quote delivered. Now, what I need to do is I need to transition what happens when I get the quote delivered. Did it get accepted or did it get lost? So now I'm going to go to my quote delivered, and I'm going to create a transition here. And so in this case, what I'm going to go ahead and do is my new action that I just created called accepted. When that gets accepted, I want this to go to the quote accepted state. Now, if they pushed, now I'm going to create another transition. If they push the button that says that they did not accept it, what I wanted to go ahead and do. So if I said, what was the other one that we created? It was called, quote, lost.
Sorry, could you say that again?
And we want to send this one now to quote lost. So now we have some transitions to our new states. Now, what do we want to do when the state is lost, right? So I'm going to save this where I'm at, and I want to kind of do some more connectors here. And I want to say, hey, if I'm looking at the quote accepted, I want some actions to be available. So we know in standard workflow of Acumatica sales order quotes that we copy orders to a regular order. So on the actions under my quote accepted, I want to go ahead and add an existing action that is available, which is the copy order. And so we're going to copy order quote over here so that we can make that available as an action that can take place. Now, also on the quote lost, in the case that maybe they come back to us in a few months, I want to be able to reopen this particular order. So I'm going to go ahead and, come in here and go ahead and click the plus sign on my quote lost, and I want to reopen order. So I want to make these actions available when I'm in this particular transition. Now, I can go back to my diagram view because I have these actions. And let's say from the quote lost, I want to add another transition here so that if I am reopening the order, I want that to go back to the open status. So now I'm adding more transitions to send it back to open. And then on the quote accepted, I am going to add a transition that after they do the completion or copy order, do the copy order, then I'm going to send this to the completed target state. So now I've kind of built this thing all the way around, incorporating my new states and workflows. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to go back to the main, back to the main workflow page. And what I want to do in this case is I want to activate my quote workflow. By doing so, it deactivates the standard Acumatica workflow. So I'm going to save this here, and I'm going to go ahead and publish my customization. So once this customization is published, what we're going to do is we're going to flip back to the sales order, create a new quote, and let's walk this thing through. So let's give this a second to publish, and then we will jump right over to the other screen. Everybody can see what I've done so far. If you guys feel free, throw some comments into the comment box there if you have any questions while this thing is publishing. But again, the one thing I've learned about Acumatica is that you could do so many things in so many ways. What I want you guys to start thinking about is just utilizing some of this information to kind of think outside of the box. We don't always need custom programming to do certain workflows. Acumatica has been doing a great job of adding these tools that allow us as consultants or architects and things like that to just expand the customer's look and feel of this particular product. So I'm going to go ahead, and looks like that was done. I'm going to close out of here. And what we're going to do is we're going to refresh our sales order page. And then let's go ahead and run through a brand new quote, right? So once this page refreshes, sometimes it takes a second or two to kind of capture this change, but let's go ahead and come in here. And so let's start with a brand new quote. Once I put this quote in here, you'll see some of the actions come up. But let's say Alta Ace wanted to get a quote on some new Lego sets. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and come in here, and we're going to put in Legos. And so they want to get a quote on buying 1,000 boxes of these Legos, right? So we're going to come in here. And so now we're going to go ahead and quote them $110. So at this point, when I save this order, number one, it puts it into an open status, right? So now if I want to send this email, I could just use my action to email the quote. And because I've added this new workflow, after I email the quote to the customer, this should put my sales order or my quote into a new status so that I know that it's been delivered. And so then once you guys look at your primary list for the sales orders, you can see that my new status is now quote delivered. And so now I know if I look at my generic list of quotes, I can see which ones are open that have not been delivered yet. Maybe some of them have been lost, or maybe some of them have been, approved. At least in your guys' mind, what this means. Oh, I sent out the quote, so that means I'm still waiting to hear back a particular response. Now the customer can come back and say, you know what, that looks, that's just too expensive. We need some sort of discount or something like that. So now you can see I've got the new buttons or the new actions that we created. So yeah, we didn't get this. We're going to go ahead and put this as lost. And so now my status goes to quote lost. So again, looking at that primary list, I know that this did not go through. I can use my standard thing to reopen this order. This should put us back into that open status. Now I can go back and say, you know what? I know what's going to give them a trick. I'm going to give them a 10% discount. And then I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then again, after I email this out, it is just basically going to put me back into that quote delivered status. And now when they come back and say, yeah, that sounds good to me, now I can accept this. Now it's going to be put into this quote accepted. Now anyone who knows, when they see on the primary list that this order has been accepted, we know we need to take that next step and convert it to a sales order. So now I'm just going to go into my quote accepted here, quote accepted order or quote, and then I'm going to go ahead and now my action, because it is in a quote accepted, I can actually come up here, hit my actions. Sorry. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy the order and then basically copy it to a sales order. Not going to recalculate any discounts or prices here. And there you go. Once I save that, now it puts it back into that original workflow where this order, I get a brand new sales order, so I could save this. And now I can work with my shipping team to get this sent out. And then when I go back to my primary list and look at my quote is now in a completed status. So you can see some of the things that we could do here with the workflow engine. Hopefully at this point, you could start to kind of, expand out your mind and see what different types of things you could do for your clients. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. The second thing I wanted to show you guys today was, sometimes we have to add fields throughout the system, and then these fields need to get added to our mobile app. So what I did prior to today is on my customization project, on my appointments screen, I created a field called appointment stage. Now, in this case here, I just made it a simple drop-down box with some values. If you guys want some tips on how to create combo boxes, things like that, feel free to reach out to me. We can definitely collaborate on creating some of these boxes. But what I did here is I created on these appointments, I created this kind of appointment stage thing where, some of the technicians need to, request POs, stage products, issue, POs, things like that. I need to add this to my mobile app. And so one of the first things is when you guys add fields to a screen in Acumatica, the web service or the WSDL shows what we've added to the screen. So if I look at my web service, so if you have customizer rights in Acumatica, you could go to the tools, you could go to web service. And when we look at this page, I can look at the service description, and the ASPX will show me kind of what my field names are. And the reason I look for this, is if I'm looking for my appointment stage field, I just need to know what the web service calls my field. Usually it's the same name as what you called it in the customization project. But again, I just want to make sure that I'm picking the right name so that I can put that on my actual mobile app. Excuse me. So now that I know the name of the field, I'm going to go back to my customization project. I'm going to go back into that same project here. And typically what we're going to do is we're going to go to the mobile application screen over here. And what I want to go ahead and do is I want to update an existing screen. Now, again, try to figure out what screen ID you're on. Acumatica is, we could direct directly to screens by their ID. So I'm looking for FS 300 200. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to update an existing screen. And so in my lookup, I'm going to take FS 30 200, and I'm going to take that appointment screen and I'm going to update this. Now, when we go into this mobile application, really what we're going to end up with here is on the right hand side, it's kind of a text XML view of what our actual page looks like. So you can see here, Acumatica already kind of pre-built this screen. They've got screen FS 300 200. They've got some dialog boxes. Usually what we're looking for is a screen, the container where that data is stored, the layout of how the screen looks like, and then the fields that we're adding to that. So what I'm looking for here is I want to look for my appointment record. And so first thing is I'm looking for my container that says appointment record. Now I get that information from the web service. So again, if I'm looking here at my web service and I go to my service description, where I'm looking for that particular field, you could see in here, you've got, let's go use the find. You can see here that I'm looking for the appointment records section, right? So that's what I primarily use the web service for, is so that I can kind of try to really find those things a lot easier. So utilizing this web service, this WSDL page in Acumatica just makes it so much easier to know where we're trying to go. So I'm looking for the container basically that says appointment record, so I can see here. So when we want to add things, we need to add it to the container, and then I need to just determine which layout I'm actually going to put this in. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to open up Acumatica's mobile app. So I'm going to share my phone with you guys. So let me go ahead and get into this. So now you guys can see my cell phone here on screen, and let me blow this up a little bit so it's a little bit bigger. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into an appointment that I currently have on my mobile app and give it a chance to log in real quick. All right, we're going to go into the maintenance, repair, and operation appointment. So that appointment stage, I kind of want to put it somewhere around here, maybe underneath the project, or let's just put it somewhere around here on the project. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to say, hey, I want to update the container of the appointment records. I am going to update the layout of the project line. So I'm going to look for my project line right here, and I'm just going to add the field to this particular layout. So the first thing I want to do is we'll automatically get this information to say update the screen. Now I want to update my container, right? And so which container did I want to update? Well, I want to update the appointment records container. And so usually I put the little open squiggly bracket and I force my close so that I don't forget it later. And then I want to update my layout of project line. And again, I'm going to open the squigglies and I want to insert in between the layout. I want to add the field of my appointment stage, because I grab that information from the web service. All I'm doing here is I'm just specifying, hey, this is what I want to update. When I save this, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'll just save this thing out here. And then at this point, I can just publish my application. Now, one more thing that I want to do is there are times, like for example, if I go back into my app here, there we go. So I want to go back into my app. That's way too big. That's fine. We're going to go into my app here, and that is not playing nicely here. Let's try to resize this guy. Give me 1 sec. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Here we go. Oops. There we go. So some screens, like on the, if I go into purchases here on my web app and I look at purchase orders, sometimes I might need somebody to upload some data from the field. And, again, Acumatica tries to do their best to, put the pertinent information of purchase orders or whatever on the screen, but I have no way of attaching documents. I don't have that paper clip there. Well, we also, in this mobile application, I can update another existing screen. So let's take the purchase order screen. And what I want to do is I want to give the purchase order screen the ability to upload documents. So what this allows me to do is, like, if I'm a technician on the road and I need to upload the packing slip because I went and picked up some product from the from a part house, well, what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm just going to go ahead and update my screen here of my purchase order, and I'm going to update the container document summary. So I'm going to update document summary. Oops. Now, while this looks like a lot of code, it's not really that much. Once you kind of get to understand the layout of this particular thing, it makes it super easy. So again, when I do attachments, what I want to do is I'm going to close this. But what we want this to do is we want this to not be disabled. So we're going to say disabled equals false. And so by doing this, what I've done is I've said, you know what? I want them to have the ability to do that. And what do we got here? And did I spell this up? The document summary. I got too many extras. Here we go. Too many squiggly lines, I think. Can't use it. Oh, that's because I did not put update container. I didn't specify that I'm updating this container here, and now I don't have enough squiggly lines. All right, attachments is 1, 2. Yep. So what I'm looking for down here is that I don't have any errors. So the first thing is, oops, okay, so that's telling me that I have that. So I am updating my screen. I am updating my container of document summary. Then I want the attachments. Yeah, so that's this here. Yeah, see, I have 1 too many, or not enough. So again, it does take some time to really kind of go through this thing here. Let me just redo this here. Start really fresh. All right, so we're going to update container, and the container we want is the document summary. I'm going to open that up and close that. Then we're going to go ahead and take the attachments field, open that up, close that up, and we're going to say disabled equals false. And that, let's say, cool. No errors. We're good to go. Let's go ahead and publish this. Once we get this published, what we're going to do is we're going to flip back to my mobile app. Let me go ahead and sign out of my mobile app while that's compiling. And then once this is compiled, we'll go ahead and jump into my phone here. All right. So while that we're waiting for that, so again, there's lots of resources. Obviously, you know, community page on Acumatica, a lot of user forums that are out there. Obviously, Open University is where I go to a lot to just really kind of figure out all of these little kind of nuances, really trying to kind of expand outside of just the norm and not tipping over to where there are too many, you know, customizations on my system. So here we go. Let's go ahead and jump back into the Acumatica app. I'm going to go ahead and log in. And so the first thing we're going to go ahead and check is we're going to check that appointment that I was looking at. And then we're going to also take a look at that PO. So here, let's just take a look at the recently visited PO. It should pull up that PO that I was working on, looking at earlier. But you can see now I have that little paper clip. And now I'm able to just click on this, take a picture, and take a picture of my cup. You had me at woof. And basically, once I attach that image and close out of here, if I went into PO 1782 in Acumatica, if I went to my purchase order screen here, come on, guys, then you can see that I've attached that image directly from my phone. So you can kind of see, you know, the thing that my customer wanted their technicians to do is that they were able to go out there, go pick up parts, and then upload the pickup, the packing slip from their part house, so that the purchase people in the office could easily just create the purchase receipt or update the PO with all of the information that was actually put in there. So we'll come back to that when my browser wants to play nice here. Let's go back into my phone here. Oops. All right, cool. So now the other thing that we wanted to do in the mobile app is we made that change to the service appointment. So I'm going to close out of here and I'm going to go into that service appointment that I was working in, and the next thing that we did is we added that work appointment stage. So now you can see here that it's available for me to choose the different options. So if I just change this to needs rescheduling or whatever, then I can update this. And then at that point, we're all good to go. So now we're going to go back in here and I'm going to refresh this appointment. So now my appointment stage should have been updated to need scheduling on the app. So at this point here, we should be all ready and dialed in. So now I could go and do two-way communication. The technicians can update appointments from their mobile app, changing stages, and even somebody internally can update these stages here, and they will automatically sync up back and forth. Cool. So again, if you guys think of any other use cases for mobile development, you know, just let me know. I mean, we can always, I love to explore these kind of things. And then, you know, we can go from there. So the last thing, I don't want to bombard you with a lot of stuff, but this third thing was, I thought was pretty cool. I haven't used this much with a lot of my clients, but I, you know, kind of actually had a use case for that this week. You know, we always talk about with our customers, hey, let's put that on an automation schedule. Let's just have the system automatically do that. Not everybody is ready for that out of the gate. So sometimes we want to be able, we don't want to send out blind notifications. We want to pick and choose what we're going to send to the customer. So let's take, for example, I'm this technician and I'm working this particular appointment and I need to go to the part house and I need to get a PO. Well, as a technician, I'm not allowed to generate POs through the system here, but I need the purchasing people to make that decision. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to set my um, my stage to PO requested, and I'm going to put a little note in here that I need to go to the go-to vendor to buy some condensers and washers. So when I save this appointment on my mobile app, when I go into, when I am the purchasing manager, I might actually have a dashboard widget that is looking for appointments that is sitting in that particular um, stage of requested PO. So now I see, oh, somebody needs an appointment requesting a PO. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, well, who needs this PO? Well, it looks like Maxwell Baker has this appointment in the PO requested. Let me look at that note, and I'm going to say, oh, they need to go-to vendor to buy some condensers and washers. So what our purchasing clerk is going to do is they're going to go into purchase orders. They are going to create a brand new PO, and we are going to say, okay, cool. We don't know exactly what they're going to buy. They just need a PO number. So I'm going to just pick my go-to vendor in this case. Oops, go-to vendor. And in this case, I created a custom field that would allow me to link the service appointment number here. So I can just go ahead and look for that service appointment number. I could attach that here. And then I just used a user defined field to just say who requested that. So Maxwell Baker is the person that requested that particular PO. So in this case here, what I've done is I've generated a blanket PO, and I'm going to say, yeah, I'm not even going to put a description. I've generated a blanket PO for this service appointment number and this employee. So now when I look at this screen here, I could see that, this PO was requested by Maxwell, and here is the service appointment number. Boilerplate stuff in Acumatica, but what I did in this case here is I created a business event. And in this business event, I want to notify the technician that they have a PO number. So what I'm doing in this case here is in my business event, we have a new option that is called for the type, or when we raise this event, is we're going to trigger it by action. And so what's going to happen is I am going to force the user to initiate this business event. So by doing it by action, all I need to do is create my subscribers. I'm linking it to my purchase order primary list, and I'm going to say when I pick number one, I want to send an email notification. And basically what I did here is I just created an standard email notification with the same field links that you would typically do, inserting fields for like PO number for blah, 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 right? PO number has been created. And then I could also say PO number has been created for appointment number. And then I can maybe come on here, insert data field, and I can grab, that data, and I could grab that service appointment number field, and I can just add that here, right? So all I'm doing is I'm adding this field to my email notification, and then on my other thing, I've also created a push notification, so they have no excuse for not getting the information that they need. They're either getting the mobile notification pushed to their phone, and I'm going to say here, new PO number for appointment number created. So what we've done here is we're using standard notifications. This is a mobile push notification. I'm also using a standard, let's go back here. I'm also using a standard email notification. Now, what I've done uniquely too on this email notification is not only am I embedding a message into here, I'm also actually attaching the PO form, so the document, so that they have proof that they actually have a PO number. So once you create this business event and you trigger it by action and you tell it what screen you're on, now that I've generated this PO, go ahead and share my screen first. Let's see here. Just get a little bit bigger here and we'll get my screen up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is all they need to do is on the primary list, they can check the box, and then within our actions here, I can notify the technician of the PO number, because that business event triggered by action has added that to my PO screen. And so now when I come into, let's take a look at all emails. And so now I should actually have an email sitting in here. Here we go. PO 1784 for appointment 6295-1 has been created. So now you can see what this email is actually going to be sent to the technician, because I linked it out that way on my generic inquiry. I specified who is the, so you can see here it's sending to M Baker at revision 2. Here is our email. And then on our files, you can see here that I've attached this particular document. So this allows me to control when I'm going to notify someone. So before, we've always relied on record triggering or automation schedule triggering. Now I could just do it manually, but it's still kind of automatic because it's allowing me to control what I'm going to notify. Now on my phone, let's go ahead and take a look at this here. So on my phone, you can actually see here that I actually have that push notification that came in from Acumatica, that I have a new PO for appointment 62951. And then basically I can pull that up on my mobile application so that you guys could take a look at that PO. So again, lots of different functionality that you guys can do with this, push notifications. We could even utilize Twilio to SMS these texts to the technicians or to people in the field. But what I want to go ahead and do is just I really wanted to show you guys kind of some of these hidden gems that I've been using a lot more with our clients without needing to really get too many developers involved. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please feel free to join me out in the breakout sessions tab if you guys have any additional questions for me. If you guys want to contact me, feel free to contact me at chrisj@dsdinc.com, and I'll hopefully we can get that. I could get that sent out to you guys. I'll send to Amma and the rest of the folks at acu-CONNECT my contact info. They could just blast this out to all you guys. I'm always open to connect with anybody. Just give me a buzz. But if you guys have any questions, join me over at the breakout session. Thanks, everyone.